remedy to separation. Tupac of my generation.
Yes, your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another Kicking It session. Today I've got the CEO, founder of Xank. I know you guys probably heard one of the pre-rolls in one of my two Satoshi videos regarding Xank. It is a stable coin, but it is a very unique one. Free floating stable coin, has many features to it, and I want to talk to the founder, Kim Roo Young. Excited about this actually because it's a very unique project, and I think it has the potential to really change how we view stable coins. Mr. Kim, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Kim, kind of tell me a little bit about yourself. That's why I usually, start the Kicking It sessions, and just give the audience a little bit about your background. Are you a technical individual? I know you're the founder of this great idea. Have you had other companies that you founded? And just kind of give us some background about yourself.
Okay. I was born in South Korea, but my family immigrated to United States when I was 14, and I landed in Cupertino, California, where Apple headquarters is.
Yeah.
And I basically grew up there. I went to schools there. However, about when I was 26, I came back to South Korea to start a internet business. Internet business went to the moon, meaning that what started from a single desk in my cousin's trading company became a multi-billion-dollar company. Went to CoStack, which is the Korean Stock Exchange.
Okay.
And that was all good for a while because I managed the company. I guess after the CoStack listing, it went about 3 more years after that, and then I mismanaged the company, and the company went into a bankruptcy, which I had a huge problem.
How does that work over there? Every country has their proceedings and how they handle bankruptcies. Do they really look at it very badly in South Korea?
Yes, that is true. In South Korea, what happens to a public listed company like mine was, which I started from scratch, right? I started the company from $500 in my pocket.
Wow.
And it grew to be a publicly listed company. But if you failed a publicly listed company in South Korea, that's considered very bad because thousands of people have basically invested in your company.
Yeah.
And so when I failed that company, South Korean law has it that even though I haven't engaged in any nefarious activities, I had to go to jail for 2 years.
Okay.
Which was pretty harsh in my opinion. However, the problem after that was even bigger because South Korea has what's called a secondary tax liability law, which is if you are the largest shareholder of a company, then all of the corporate taxes would become your own personal taxes.
Wow.
And what happens then is that even though I went through a $20 million bankruptcy proceeding, about $5 million was the tax portion, came from the corporate side. And I couldn't erase that for any way possible. So I couldn't make a bank account after that for 10 years because of that reason.
Gotcha. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. I had an assumption that was a case with many countries outside of the U.S. As you know, here in the U.S., you file bankruptcy. It's just like look at our president. He's filed bankruptcy like I don't know how many times. So
Yeah.
we actually, I think personally, we should probably adopt that type of maybe not as harsh as far as going to jail. I don't know if that's, but at least put the people on the hook for some of the the tax liabilities or something. That would be great to give people more of a because they make money off of going public. They make millions and hundreds of millions of dollars from going IPO. And it's no, at that point, the company fail. I can just walk away and I'll have my severance deal and I'll, leave with whatever. So that's interesting to know. So how did that lead you into, the last 5 years, or when did you get into cryptocurrencies, and how did you catch that bug?
Yeah, so after that happened, because I couldn't make a bank account, I had to look for some other ways of
Hmm.
basically making money, right?
Yeah.
And that's what led me to Bitcoin in 2015.
Hmm.
At first, I thought Bitcoin was a complete scam uh, because I didn't know better.
Yeah.
I had a programming background, so
Okay.
I look at their white paper and realize that it wasn't a scam after all. As I delve more deeper into the Bitcoin, I realized that it's a legit revolutionary, the cryptocurrency that we all know. That's when I got into Bitcoin, and ever since I realized that the Bitcoin and rest of the altcoins, all cryptocurrencies have uh, problems in terms of sustainability. That's
Sure.
how basically came to start a Xank project.
Okay. Good. Cool. So, what did you see in first? I guess my question is, what does Zank mean? I was thinking that when I was doing the 30-second drops.
Right.
What does that actually represent? What does that mean?
Okay, X is basically X can be anything in mathematics, right?
Sure, a variable, right?
So, it's a variable, and what Xank means is that you can put anything into the bank. Um,
Mm,
so that's we are trying to create a new bank, basically. Um,
nice.
yeah, that's why the name Xank came in.
Interesting. So what did you find that was you've been in crypto since 15. What did you find that was wrong with the current stable coins? Back then we had Tether. That was the only stable coin at that point.
Yeah.
What led you to believe that there were needs for improvement with the stable coin kind of industry?
Yeah. So you know, because even though I got into Bitcoin, as my main source of income at that time, because I couldn't open a bank account, I couldn't earn a fiat money because government would seize my account. So Bitcoin account was very valuable to me. I asked all of the consulting gigs that I had done at the time to pay me in Bitcoin because of my situation. That was great and all, but I soon realized that even though there are things like Tether, you know, um, Bitcoin wasn't really usable in terms of everyday currency for
Sure,
me.
too
So,
volatile, right?
yeah, too volatile. So that led me to stablecoin, and then I realized that there is a Tether, but Tether is too centralized. Uh,
Hmm.
so, however, if you really look at Tether, what it is basically Tether's valuation currently is like $4 billion, but
Hmm.
you need to put, in order to use $1 of Tether, you need to put $1 into the bank, and that should be collateralized. That means $4 billion worth of collateralization should be happening uh, somewhere, right?
Hmm.
And I felt that was a huge cost to use some stable currency like Tether. That's that's the point that uh, uh, I started working on Xank project, because Xank is completely different in that we don't try to peg our entire coin supply to US dollar or some fiat value, but we're just let the currency flow just like Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, we're not stable coin per se,
Right.
but what we offer is that we have a special mechanism called stable pay, which is very similar to if you are from a financial background, you know, FX forward contract.
Yes,
So
I used to trade FX.
yeah, yeah. So we can trade if there's a two-party trading on both sides.
Yes.
Let's say I'm trying to send you like $1,000, and let's say that the current today's price is like today's Zen price is that $100. That means I need to send you 10 coins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you receive it, and it could be end of the day, end of the week, it could be end of the year. When you try to cash that out at the local exchange, Xank price could go up in value or go down in value. So when it went to $200, for example, you will need only 5 coins to realize that $1,000, so that 5 coins automatically comes back to the Xank reserve,
Mm-hmm.
which is created from a coin emission, a portion of coin emission, so that it's completely decentralized and self-funding. And when opposite happens, it does the opposite thing, so that if price fell to $50, you would need 10 more coins to realize that $1,000. So, Xank Reserve will give your wallet a 10 more coins so that you can realize that $1,000 at the end of the transaction period.
Right, right. So yeah, I want to definitely get into the details of the tokenomics and how everything works. But
Sure.
I just want to say you're probably and this is you're the first guest I've had on my channel that had a real world need for Bitcoin. Like that's awesome. Like, and that's what we need to see more people and more stories about individuals where you couldn't use a bank account. So
That's right.
you relied on this technology to basically make a living for yourself. And that's just, I mean, we got to, I think we have to really highlight these types of stories because it's very important. I think many people focus so much on the price of Bitcoin. Is it going to 100,000? Is it going back to 20,000? Instead of working and embracing and highlighting the utility of these types of cryptocurrencies and this technology in blockchain. So I just want to say to my audience, this is like an awesome story. I've never had anyone on that has told that story. So that's great, man. I think that's awesome. So
Yeah, it
go ahead.
really is, because they're they are saying that there are about 1.7 billion people out there unbanked in the world,
Yes.
and I'm saying that there are few people in developed world like South Korea, just like me. I mean, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who failed in their businesses, right? And
Yes.
then they will need this type of solution for
Yeah.
everyday. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing. So tell me, one thing that really caught my attention was the buzzword SDRs. I saw that. I'm like, wow. So kind of explain to us the three aspects of the coin. As you stated, is really, in the title I have stable coin, but it's really more than a stable coin.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So kind of explain the unpegged nature of it. This it's a single coin and then also the independence of it.
Sure. So the reason that we are using IMF SDR as the stable value benchmark, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
is because IMF SDR is a basket of 5 different world's major currencies: U.S. dollar,
Correct.
euro, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, and British pound. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we feel that SDR is much more stable than any fiat currency alone, like US dollar. So what we use is that in order to peg, in order to have some kind of fiat denomination in terms of stable transaction, is that for example, US dollar, we can do that, or Korean won, we can do use that as a stable value because those currencies are stable. But there are countries like Venezuela or Argentina or Brazil. The currencies
Turkey,
are stable, right?
Turkey lira.
So in order for those countries to have stable transactions, we will need some other benchmark. That's why we are using IMF SDR as the main benchmark. But for those developed countries like South Korea or United States, we can also use US dollars or Korean won to stabilize the transactions.
So I want to talk about the more technical side of things and the coin mining and such. Kind of explain. I thought this was pretty neat. You guys talk about this consensus algorithm, and you're calling it Avalanche. Could you give us some details on this? I thought this was pretty neat.
Yeah,
and how it's different than other consensus algorithms.
Yeah, Avalanche Protocol wasn't originally developed by us. It was put out by a anonymous team named Team Rocket.
Okay.
And we have since adopted it because we believe that's the one of the key components we would need in order to make our cryptocurrency scalable. Meaning that if you want to engage in a everyday transaction like pay for coffees or everyday pay for bus fees or tax fees or whatever, you would need a much faster transaction time than what Bitcoin is allowing you to do, right? Bitcoin takes anywhere between 10 minutes to 60 minutes in order to complete a transaction. Because they got 10-minute block time and you would need multiple block confirmations in order to complete a transaction. So the reason we gravitate towards a Avalanche protocol is it's basically a third generation, we feel, consensus protocol, meaning that the first generation was the classical consensus where I sometimes refer to that as a democracy model of consensus, where every node is kind of has their say. But since because of Bitcoin, since then we have moved to Nakamoto consensus, which is used by Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I think that's to me that's more like autocracy model where you basically select one miner to make the decision, right? So, however, this Avalanche protocol is more like a meritocracy consensus where basically you are, every node is having a say, but you are doing in a much smaller sample size. At the same time repeatedly, so that it comes to a consensus much faster. It's much more scalable. If you look at transaction per second.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I hadn't heard you say this yet. I guess you were going to get to it and I kind of cut you off. But guys, listen, Avalanche, if we compare it to even Ethereum is doing 15, Bitcoin 7. We've got Visa, if you want to take that to compare it, something more real world, 2,000 transactions per second. But guess what? Avalanche can do 6,500 transactions per second.
Yeah. That to me is pretty incredible, and
it is.
Many of the cryptocurrencies are trying to find out more about Avalanche protocol because it's so revolutionary, I think. In terms of scalability aspect. So that's why we have opted to use that. when we started Xank project, Avalanche wasn't available.
Okay.
We were looking at various other protocols, and one of the profound protocol that we found we have started working on was the Dash protocol.
Yeah.
The reason for that was because I thought that Bitcoin's main problem was that they're giving block reward. Right now their Bitcoin emission rate is like 12.5 Bitcoin for every 10 minutes, right? But
Yeah.
they're giving 100% of that to miners only. But if you think about the incentive structure for the network such as Bitcoin, it's more than miners. They got full nodes, they got developers, but full nodes and developers are getting zero in incentives in a Bitcoin network. I thought that was the main problem for Bitcoin sustainability. That's why initially I really liked Dash model, where they have created a secondary tier with masternode network, and then masternode would get something like 45% of the block reward, and then miners would get 45%, and then they would have self-funding treasury system getting 10%. So I thought that was much more sustainable model in terms of distributing incentives in the emission level, because in order to do a decentralized cryptocurrency, that is kind of very important aspect of that.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so explain to us so we have the stable aspect of Xank,
Yeah.
right? You can peg it in transit. If I'm sending you X amount, as you talked about,
Sure.
it'll stay at that rate once it gets to you. What's the nature of Xank unpegged? So is it close to just the SDR? Is that what it is, or does it fluctuate higher than
No.
than the average of the SDR?
It will be just like any other fluctuating cryptocurrency like
Okay.
Bitcoin or Ethereum, because
Okay.
we are just letting it flow, free flow, like any other cryptocurrency. So as
Okay.
more people use Xank coins, I guess the valuation would go up. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. So you wouldn't need a stable coin anymore. It would just be you use Xank. You can hold it for a speculation, a
Yeah.
speculative aspect, and then when you want to actually send it to someone,
Yep.
or at a point of sale, you're at a commerce, brick and mortar or e-commerce. There'll be a protocol at the point of sale where it'll just stabilize at that point, right?
Yeah, that's very important point, because uh, if you look at even the national currencies, right?
Yes.
All of the national currencies like South Korean won, at one point we tried to peg our currency to US dollar. However,
It's hard to keep that peg.
yeah, it's very hard to keep that peg, and it all break down at a certain point. And
Yep.
all of the Chinese yuan did the same thing.
Yep.
British pound had the same.
Swiss
So
with the euro.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And so I don't think trying to peg your entire coin supply to some fiat value could ever work in terms of if you think longevity, right?
Yes.
So it will all break down in the future. That's what we believe will happen. That's why we don't want to peg our entire coin supply to anything. However, we still want to have some stable value transactions. Otherwise, this cryptocurrency transactions could be never could be a everyday transaction mechanism.
Right.
So that was very important. That's why we have created this new cryptocurrency that is free floating, just like Bitcoin. However, we would have a stable transaction mechanism so that people, when they do transact with each other, they would have some kind of mechanism to do that. Yeah.
Great, great. So tell us a little bit about the partnerships. I know you guys just got back from a blockchain event, I think a week or so ago. Ryan said it was you guys had a great time out there and made some connections and such. What's going on the B2B side
On
with
the
Xank?
B2B side, actually, that's a good question because I think we're the first cryptocurrency to have a dedicated portion of our coin emission, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, about 35%,
Mm-hmm.
to what's called redeemers.
Okay.
And that's very important aspect of our cryptocurrency because it's it's kind of our onboarding mechanism from a fiat currency to cryptocurrency because end of the day what we want to create is something that you can use every day just like fiat currency and right now, if you look at the entire currency world, it's like cryptocurrency is only like one thousandth of fiat currency, and you need to have some kind of gateway between the two
Mm-hmm.
in order to transfer over the people from fiat currency to engage in cryptocurrency, and we believe that. One of the great point that we can work on is the mileage airline mileage holders or
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
loyalty point holders.
Yeah.
That accounts for like $350 billion worth of mileages and loyalty point holders are out there today, globally. So what we do is 35% of our coin emissions would go to those people who are the mileage holders or loyalty point holders. They can basically exchange their mileage point, which is kind of unusable outside of their ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Into a Xank tokens or coins, so that they're happy because they can go to local exchanges and get cash from those loyalty points. And then what we can do after that is that we would take those mileages and loyalty points that we accrued from the customers, and then give those to merchants who has issued those mileages and loyalty points, and then we can effectively write off the liabilities associated with the loyalty points for them because for example, a single airline in South Korea has about more than $2 billion of mileage liabilities on their books right now.
Right.
So that's kind of huge deal to some of our merchant customers. So we are actually talking to various companies about doing this, so that basically we are going to be happy end of that deal because those merchants, big merchants, can receive all the Xank coins in their payment terminals after this transaction. So it will be like a triple win for consumers, merchants, and Xank as a network as a whole. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. So, are you guys talking currently with any airline businesses?
Yeah, we cannot say
Okay,
specifically
gotcha.
which companies, but sure, we are talking to airline companies. We are talking to some of the biggest merchants in South Korea. We
Okay.
are talking to various institutions about this type of some kind of loyalty points they have created, but it's not really usable outside of their ecosystem. But when they convert that into a cryptocurrency, it's much more usable. You can cash it out fast, and then you can, especially with stable pay functionality, I think they can use that very similar to cash. So it will be very usable on day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Facebook needs to hire you. That'll solve their problem really quickly, but they want to have full control over everything. And so, but
Yes.
this is great technology. I'm most excited about Avalanche. That algorithm, that really sounds to me. That's what I'm taking away from this. You guys let us know in the comments below what you like about Xank. But I'm so excited about just the scalability and speed and throughput that Avalanche allows. I think that's going to be something that really shows it can be a real world use case for cryptocurrency slash stablecoin.
Yeah, I think stability, price stability, and the scalabilities are two of the most important aspects. I call them four pillars. In that stability and scalability is very important, but I also believe that privacy and the decentralization is also very important in
Mm-hmm.
terms of making Xank into a cryptocurrency that everybody can use. In order to do that, uh, I believe that even with the scalability and stability, you cannot really send something like salaries to your employees using cryptocurrency if it's on a public blockchain and it's going to be revealed to the public. It's not really usable case in that scenario. So I believe that in order for a cryptocurrency to be mass adopted, it has to have some kind of privacy functionality built in, and that's what Xank has. Xank it has a privacy functionality where it's not mandatory like something like Monero or Zcash, but it's an optional on-demand privacy you can use in a per transaction basis, so that you would be able to do those types of transactions as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. So where are we with the roadmap? I was looking at your website. Is the ERC20 token available currently, or is that something in the making?
It's currently available for private sales at this
Okay,
time.
okay,
So people are buying at the private sale level. We hope to do a some kind of public sale in the future after we reach our soft cap.
okay.
So that's coming.
And then your main net will be launching in 2020. Is that still on track for that?
Yes, it is on track for that. We're at the same time we're busy developing the this thing so that it will be on track for that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, any last words, Mr. Kim? Again, I think great idea, great project. I really hope you guys do succeed because again, I think this is the next. This is like we talk about blockchain 2.0, 3.0. This is like stablecoin 2.0, or
Yeah,
3.0.
yeah. Thank you for saying that. I believe that like I said, four pillars of any new cryptocurrency, not just stablecoin, but would be the price stability and then
Right,
scalability and privacy and decentralization. Because if you look at all of the coins out there today, I don't think I can honestly say I can use that for my everyday use cases.
right,
And if you really think about these aspects of four pillars, fiat money has price stability, it has scalability, it has privacy as well. I mean, you can grab a bunch of cash into a bag and then you can carry that to someone, right? So it has privacy as well.
yeah.
But can you name any coin out there, cryptocurrency that can say they can
It's
all of those three plus decentralization?
yeah. The decentralization part is for sure not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and probably not. So what we are trying to do is try to bring to the world a
Hmm.
cryptocurrency that can that can be better cryptocurrency than fiat money is
Right.
what we are trying to create. And then in order to do that, we really need to hit all those points in order to create that. And we hope that we can be the one that who brings that kind of cryptocurrency to the table.
Mr. Kim Roo Young, I hope I'm saying that correctly.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you for coming on today for a Kicking It session. The next evolution in stablecoins is really bigger than the stablecoin. This thing encompasses, as Mr. Kim talked about, 3 pillars that is just going to wrap all this into a very powerful cryptocurrency to use in the future in commerce, and as a store of stability as well. So guys, visit Xank.io. That's XANK.io for more details on this great project. And I'm excited to see what happens with them in 2020 as they roll out the actual coin. It's your boy Crypto Blood. Again, thanks for kicking it with us. We're out of here, people.